So inside GP, when we talk about inventory, there's really only a couple of screens that we need to deal with. There's a lot of different screens. The one difference between Business Central and Great Plains is the window-based system in Great Plains versus the grid-based system in Dynamics 365 Business Central. So when I go into my item card and I just grab an item card, I have a large number of, I have quite a few fields inside here, which allows me to bring things up. And I'm going to bring up my Access To here. That's the one I'm going to use today as my favorite item. So inside here, I've got different class IDs. I've got different pieces of information from sales and things like that. Got shipping weight and some other stuff that's in here. This is a standard front card. Attached to this card inside GP, we have all of these different pieces. And everything from the item currency down to the item resource planning is available for all GP. And the fulfillment down to standard cost changes, these particular ones here, is available if you have manufacturing loaded. Okay. So this is a way you can set your currency. This is where your list price by currency. This is where you set your price list. This is your quantities and sites. And then your purchasing, who you purchase from and what their numbers are, the vendors who we purchase from, whether it's a kit. Now, Business Central doesn't have kits. There's nothing in the system as kits. It does have assembly, same as GP, but it does not support kits, where kits are things that get assembled at the very last minute. You have to put all the items on. There's some history information, which is just a drill down on the actual items themselves. And then we have some resource planning. I won't talk about the manufacturing side. So all these screens have got different pieces of information in them. So for instance, if I go to the resource planning screen here, I have my fixed order points and things like this. And all of this information that you see inside here is set by site. So inside here, I'm going to use the North site. And this is what has been set up inside here. So these pieces of information inside here are used for MRP and for purchase order generation, and it allows you to pick what kind of replenishment you want to use inside the item. All right, so let's go over to Business Central now and take a look at pretty much the same information. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the item card. So when we go to the items, you get a list of the items. So here's a list of the items, and I'm just going to maximize this to give myself some more screen real estate. Now, instead of having to drill down on these different pieces and take a look at different ones inside here, what we can do is we can go to the same 2 year inside here, and now we can see how many I have in inventory, what the unit cost is, what the unit price is. And then I can see across here, if I scroll over here, I could have a vendor number if there was one assigned. As I click into the item itself to give me more details on this, there's some information on the side here as well. Over here, we've got our standard inventory header. This matches the header that we've currently got. Do we have any variations and things like that? What kind is it? It's what item code is, what's the item code, what's the purchasing code, and things like that. You can show less, which just takes away a couple of the fields. I always go to show more for these so that you can see all the possibilities. Underneath inventory itself, now once you've got the inventory, once you've got the item set up, the header part, you can then set up different things. Does it have a shelf number? In other words, do we have a default shelf number? This would equivalent to a default bin inside GP. This is quantity. This is the quantities that are outstanding, and I can drill on any of these. So I can drill down and take a look at how many are on POs, how many have I got on sales orders, project orders, and assembly orders. And this is my inventory. And if I click on the inventory here, it will open up a screen that shows all of the receipts for that particular inventory. There's the item there. There's the different document numbers and things like that. So it gives me the ability to look down through that information. Your stock out warnings and things like that, net weight, gross weight, as well as volume, so that you can do calculations. We only have a weight in GP, whereas we have 3 weights here, a net weight, a gross weight, and a unit volume. Unit volume is good because there are times where you need to do the calculation for freight calculations based on volume, not based on weight, or a combination of the two. If the weight is over this, we pay by the pound, otherwise we pay by the volume. As we go down to the costing, this is part of the same thing, the FIFO, whether it's FIFO. Again, you've got FIFO, LIFO. You have specific costing, in other words, individual items. That would be used primarily with serialized items and things like that. You have an average and a standard. Now, one thing that's completely different inside Business Central is the way that they calculate average costing. So average costing inside Business Central is done on a, it is not done on a location basis. It is done on a location basis, whereas the average inside GP is a global basis. So if I have items in Toronto and I have items in Vancouver, and I use average costing, they will both have the same average cost. Any changes to the cost in Toronto will also affect the cost in Vancouver. In Business Central, those costs are segregated based on can be segregated based on the SKUs that you use, which is one of the features that we have inside Business Central. So whether it's invoiced, what was the last cost? My last cost was $49. What's my unit cost? There's my unit cost was $41.98. And then inside here, these are the different average cost calculations that I've got inside here if I want them. When I go down to my pricing, here's my unit price, profit, etc. Allow discounts and things like that. Subscription, whether it's a subscription without subscription, it has some subscription pieces built into it, which is something that GP does not. You can also create service style parts as well. Under the replenishment, this is the same as what we just saw for the mins and the max. So if I hit the show more, you'll see I've got assemblies and things like that. What's the purchase order number? And there's the replenishment. As I go down into here, I have my different order tracking, my reorder points, my overflows and things like that. So I have all the pieces of information that I need in order to do that same kind of work that we were doing in GP using the item resource planning. We now put it on the standard main screen here and then lot for lot. If you're tracking, you can actually do pieces inside here. Underneath your tracking, you have different options inside here, lot and serial number or blank. If it's blank, it's just a regular item. This particular item is non-serialized, so I'm going to keep it that way. You've got your serial numbers. And when we go into lot numbers and serial numbers, you can attach different serial number sequences and different lot number sequences to the item or to groups of items. We then have a warehouse. We have information about the warehouse, put away codes and things like that. There is some built-in barcoding available within Business Central. In other words, it does support, with the SKUs, it does support the individual barcoding of things. And with this, you can use some barcode systems hook in very, very easily, a lot easier than they did inside Great Plains. All right, so when I go up to the item inside here, I've got a number of different things up top here. And basically, we have a whole bunch of different structures and cost shares and things like that and substitutions. We can edit substitute items and things like that. Items by location. If I click on the items by location, it will bring up my items by location. Give it a second to pop up. There it is there. There's my 2 here. And you'll notice that if I expand this out, I have a large number of, so I got 28 on hand in my north. These are all the different locations. I currently have my system set to not make locations mandatory. In GP, locations are mandatory. Once the system expects locations, there is no way of turning it off, and you must put a location against every inventory. It is not that way inside Business Central. You can make them mandatory. It is a toggle in the setup of the inventory itself. So let me go back. So inside here, as I go through all of this, this is what I've got from that point of view.